Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Steve Weber, Senior Product Marketing Manager at SpecRite, and I want to welcome you to our webinar, Reducing Packaging Costs While Increasing Green Line Growth. Before I begin, I want to let you know that today's webinar will be recorded for replay purposes, and if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please enter them in the questions queue, and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. And now I'd like to introduce our presenters. First up is our Chief Technology Officer, Ayman Chokri. Next, we have Mike Anderson, who is the VP of Digital Transformation and Sales Operations. And also joining us is Linda Garbus, who is our Program Manager with our Sales Engineering team. And now I'll turn the webinar over to Ayman.
Thank you, Steve. I wanted to start by talking about how sustainability and business goals can truly complement each other. But let us understand first why today these are viewed as contradicting initiatives. According to a December of last year Harvard Business Review article, virtually all of the world's largest companies now issue a sustainability report and set goals. More than 2,000 companies have set a science-based carbon target, and about 1/3 of Europe's largest public companies have pledged to reach net zero by 2050. However, many sustainability initiatives are not aligned with CEO strategies and priorities. In fact, some are viewed as contradictories. For example, does producing more sustainable products become more expensive and hence increase the cost versus the actual target of producing it? On a different view, and according to Gartner report, creating a virtual cycle between sustainability and strategy published in June of this year, sustainability can support top CEO strategies and priorities like growth and cost optimization. As you start looking at consolidating SKUs and decreasing carbon footprint, which would result in decreasing transportation costs, for example. In addition, once you start looking at your products in a different way, more recycling, green products, etc., you start uncovering business models and opportunities that eventually lead to increasing your efficiency and revenue. Another major benefit of creating that cycle is your brand recognition. Consumers are now demanding more transparency and more sustainable products. That brand recognition and association with being good for the environment is usually a key differentiator from your competitor. Let's look at a typical sustainability maturity stage or model. Companies usually go from no plan at all to setting goals that they yet to know how they'll achieve. They see the customer demand and want to truly do something about it. Then they typically enter the risk and compliance phases where they need to adhere to the new regulations or else they will face fines, loss of customers, and overall business reputation in general. Once they start meeting those regulations, they start realizing that they can achieve more. They can start the process of optimizing their product development and become more efficient in producing those more sustainable products. They gradually start benefiting from their efforts and see that they can achieve their business goals while making sure that what they are producing is not harming the environment. Now comes the highest maturity level, where sustainability became engraved in the daily work through new business models, new product developments, methodologies, etc. That is where the true sustainability transformations happen. Let's start by taking another look at the spec management maturity model. You simply cannot start driving sustainability metrics without complete spec data in your system. It's like saying my application is secure, but you don't have access to your application code to even test against security. It is similar on the spec management side. You can't claim your products or product is sustainable if you don't even know or have access to your product specs. As you can see, there's almost a one-to-one mapping of your spec management journey to your sustainable maturity phases. Most of our customers, and even the big ones, start in a complete chaos phase, where they truly have limited info about their product specs, ingredients, or formulas. In fact, their suppliers know more about those specs than the actual owner of the product. The first step they usually try is to start gathering such info, sometimes for compliance reasons, some for new product development or the next version. Those companies then become in a slightly better state than the chaos one, where they know their data, but such data is static and quickly became obsolete or stale because you're not really updating it going forward. The next phase on the spec management maturity model is actually having a spec management platform that you can track, version, and have proper visibility to your product specs. That's where they can confidently report on their sustainability and have some insights into their compliance risks. Once that's achieved, they take it to the next level of starting to have such data to be the core of their product action. That is through the collaboration across departments, collaboration with your suppliers. They now have a single source of truth to operate their business where they can share this info with a click of a button, for example. The final bundle is where you start innovation phases. For example, you start combining ways to optimize and improve your sustainability goals. Think about new product development. Once you create or edit a spec, you can run an instant LCA and know the impact of that change on sustainability before even approving the spec change, and hence become a lot proactive in knowing your impact on your sustainability goals at new product development. It's a long journey, but we see it done by our customers on a daily basis. We would love to show you some of those examples of those innovations, and Mike will go through those. Mike, now to you.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Ayman. As a company increases their specification management and sustainability maturity with SpecRite, we have seen the following business results aligned to each stage. One of the most common areas that companies see tangible benefits is around packaging spend. In a lot of cases, it's just seen as a necessary evil by the business, and it costs what it's going to cost. However, it doesn't need to be that way. By capturing data across all packaging specifications in a centralized system, businesses can report on the packaging being used across all products today and make more intelligent business decisions on where consolidation and elimination can occur going forward. If you have $100 million in annual packaging spend, which is the basis for these calculations, you can typically see savings of over $1 million annually from your baseline by increasing packaging consolidation, reuse, and spot purchase reductions. As we move higher up the maturity model, we move into the optimization phase. And with the recent supply chain challenges seen worldwide, visibility into suppliers and sourced materials is more important than ever. Sourcing from a single supplier with no secondary or tertiary vendors approved is not only a risk to production timelines, but leads to reactive buying, which drives significant cost increases. As spec usage is optimized and collaborated on across departments and suppliers, companies are able to be more agile with their purchasing because they have insights into their specs and suppliers, which allows them to more easily vet alternate suppliers and reduce the time to create bids. This can create an additional $2 million or more in annual savings. Lastly, as we reach the final stage in the maturity curve, we reach transformation. And as specs are integrated into all product and packaging development and leveraged throughout the supply chain, this is where the biggest transformation can occur. Transformation in raw material purchases and ingredient purchases can be seen by increasing volume-based purchasing while seeing reductions in sourcing costs and transportation costs. Altogether, when companies reach the transformation stage, they can see over $4 million worth of annual benefits based on that $100 million in annual sourcing spend. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide to take a look at a few customer examples. Each of these companies here have been SpecRite customers for some time, and they've each seen some very tangible benefits from using SpecRite specification data management system. The first is Corteva Agriscience, which is a spinoff from Dow DuPont. Before using SpecRite, 1/3 of the packaging specs in their system weren't in use, which caused their packaging engineers to waste time sifting through hundreds of old specs. By using SpecRite, they were able to rationalize their SKUs and link associated packaging specifications to compliance information, and ultimately streamlining end-to-end packaging component management. They were able to reduce the number of pallets used from 77 down to 19 just through this additional visibility that SpecRite provided. The next example is around Grimway Farms. They are one of the largest producers of carrots in the United States. Prior to SpecRite, they didn't have their corrugate specs digitized, and that significantly complicated the bid process, even preventing them from going to bid at all in many cases and just buying from the same suppliers year in and year out. After going live with SpecRite, they were able to put bids together much more easily, and they saw a $2 million reduction in corrugate spend in just the first full year of using SpecRite, which is a pretty significant impact to their business. The last example here is Central Garden and Pet. They are a large producer and distributor of lawn, garden, pet, and other home products, and many brands you would recognize, such as Nylabone or Pennington Grass Seed. They have implemented SpecRite for several years now, but prior to implementing SpecRite, when procurement needed a spec, it could take hours to find, if they could even find it. They're evaluating SpecRite for additional functionality to go enterprise-wide, but even in the deployment that they have today, they were able to see around a 5% packaging spend reduction just by having deeper visibility into their specifications. Let's go to the next slide. The reality is, tackling sustainability doesn't have to be complex, but it does require a fundamentally different approach to managing your supply chain data. To achieve your corporate goals, your organization should have an understanding of where you stand when it comes to sustainability. You need to understand your products and packaging at the DNA level of data, or at the specification level. You need to truly decompose your product across the entire product lifecycle to understand the impact that your company and your products are having on the environment. Let's move to the next slide. The first step to transformation begins by knowing where you stand with sustainability and compliance. While everyone is committed to sustainability, the biggest challenges remain collecting the right data to benchmark the current state, to track progress, and to report on compliance. Aggregating and understanding specification data can be a manual, lengthy process that typically has to be performed multiple times a year. It's a time and resource-consuming task that is costly because this level of data is typically scattered across the supply chain and is managed by the suppliers instead of the brand. When companies share specification data, it's often by using static formats like spreadsheet, email, or PDF. This is why you need to digitize, manage, and link your specs to build your foundation for achieving sustainability compliance. The second step is optimization of specs across your enterprise. By providing business intelligence from reports, dashboards, and machine learning across your teams, they can understand the impact of their business decisions. For example, if you switch out an ingredient, but the new one is at a higher cost, how does that impact the gross margin of your product? By working across different teams, you can find solutions together to achieve your common goal. Optimizing specs throughout the entire life cycle of your products and packaging provides the necessary agility and efficiencies into your business so you and your workers can make the right business decisions at the right time to decrease your environmental impact. By breaking down your data to the spec level, you can see where incremental changes can help improve your sustainability and spot where innovation can take you to the next level. The final step to transformation is networking all the information in SpecRite across your supply chain to create the traceability and visibility required to manage a modern, resilient, and responsible supply chain. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Linda Garbis, and she is going to show you how SpecRite will help you achieve your corporate and sustainability goals.
Thank you, Mike. As we walk through the features today, we'll utilize this roadmap to show you how connecting your data with SpecRite's patented money-to-money relationships will provide you the visibility you need to track and attain your sustainability vision. Through SpecRite's simple-to-use navigation, we'll show you how to make meaningful reports as we digitize specifications and highlight many valuable tools such as validation rules and like item finder. Now let's go ahead and jump into the demonstration. Here you can see the sustainability module homepage, which encompasses all the tools you require to be proactive and successful in your sustainability journey. Below our top navigation, you can see a configurable dashboard, which features a collection of reports that easily communicate and translate the data in the system. These reports are living documents, which mean they're continuously updated and refreshed as specifications are created, changed, or discontinued. Going to the specifications tab at the top of the page, we can click new specification, and you can see the options of different specification types you can create. Each specification type is based on a template with fields that correlate to the name shown. Selecting the corrugated template will bring up a specification details page to be populated. Today, we'll go ahead and enter the part ID, but this could also be an auto-generated number field if you prefer. For accurate reporting, SpecRite incorporates helpful tools to assist users to input dependable data. There are information hovers to let the users know what type of information is requested in this box, as well as drop-down pick list fields to avoid typos in data. Field types such as numeric or text only are used to help ensure proper data management is entered in by the users. SpecRite features a money-to-money relationship between different specs, which allows specifications to be related or linked. Because of this connection, we can use a lookup field for the supplier to link this new specification to a supplier that already exists in our system. After specifications are created, you can create different reports depicting the related data of suppliers and packaging materials, such as the report shown here. You'll be able to see all of the specifications that have been linked to each supplier, providing you with a detailed view of your supply chain. In SpecRite, you can easily create reports and toggle between different visual representations of your data. It's easy to subscribe to a report to ensure that you and your team receive information at a designated cadence. Returning to my data entry page, the sustainability details section is below the information section and includes pertinent fields required to establish quantifiable sustainability metrics. As we scroll down the page, we can populate all of the known initial details, such as dimensions or even quantities. Fields such as quantity can also be integrated with your external ordering system to ensure up-to-date and accurate information. Once you're ready to create your new specification, we click Save. As you attempt to save, SpecRite alerts you that you currently have items in the system with the specification type and dimensions provided. This alert is triggered by SpecRite's duplicate rules tool. This notification provides the user with information to help improve efficiencies across the supply chain by purchasing more of one item instead of less of many items, as well as having less specifications to manage in the system. The duplicate rules tool allows you to click the hyperlinks associated with current specifications. So let's go ahead and take a look and determine if we would like to proceed with our new specification or with a previous specification. With SpecRite's template-driven page layouts, it's easy for users to navigate and find data they're looking for. Here you can see the title box across the top of the page, which houses pertinent information related to the specification. Below that, we have a visual path that allows the user to know what the status of the specification is. If we click the caret to the left of each of the stages, we can see what is happening at each of these statuses. Below the visual status bar is a related quick links area. This allows you to see all of the many-to-many spec relationships, includes hyperlinks and summaries to all the record details linked to the specification, including all of the finished goods where this corrugated product is currently being utilized. The Details tab shows all the relevant information for the specification and fields that were shown upon the specification creation. With SpecRite, you can help to ensure that all your specifications created are aligned with your company's sustainability initiatives. As you uncheck the box for the FSC field and click Save, You receive an error message that your company's sustainability goals require this type of item to be produced using FSC certified material. This error is generated by a validation rule set up in the system. Validation rules can be created to align with your sustainability goals and help to ensure that all your specifications created are meeting the required criteria, such as minimum recycled content or FSC certification. SpecRite supports global business operations and features an automated unit of measurement conversion field. For example, here you can see two separate fields for weight. One field is for metric units and one is for imperial units. This tool works in both directions. So you can either update the metric field, which we'll go ahead and update here, or the imperial field. And upon save, you'll go ahead and see the automated conversion. This avoids time wasted doing manual conversions and allows you to report data globally with confidence. There is also a formula field, which is the locked field from editing that is tracking kilograms per year from other fields on the page. These automated calculated formula fields and unit conversion fields can easily be shown on a sustainability report, such as the report shown here. In the summary table, you can see how much of each material type is being used by each manufacturing location. As you consider the volume of material being utilized in each of your manufacturing facilities, you want to ensure that you're making environmentally friendly decisions when it comes to vendor selection and operation. Here we see a visual map tool that provides a quick snapshot of locations in your system, such as manufacturing facilities and supplier locations. This map tool can help to optimize shipping distances between your supplier and your facilities. You can enter the location you would like to view your current suppliers around. And then go ahead and select suppliers and find locations. With the many-to-many relationships between finished goods specifications, suppliers, and manufacturing facilities, you can also create a report that can track whether or not a supplier is an optimal selection for meeting your sustainability goals. In this report, distance of the specification suppliers is measured to the manufacturing location. Searching for data in a report is simple. We can easily click on the magnifying glass at the top of the page and enter a keyword or number associated with the data we're searching for. In this case, I'm searching for the corrugated item we referenced earlier. When the search text is found, the cell will be highlighted in yellow on the report. Additionally, it's easy to configure conditional formatting on a report to provide a quick visual review of the data in your system. In this report, all distance of suppliers greater than 300 miles from the finished goods manufacturing facility are highlighted in red, whereas those that are less than 300 miles are shown in green. This allows you to quickly identify opportunities to potentially locate suppliers that are closer to your manufacturing facility to reduce your carbon footprint. Once you've selected a supplier to produce your item, collaboration is critical to accurate data management. On our corrugated specification, we identified our primary supplier of this item. After initially populating the spec with basic details, you would like to ask the supplier to review and update the fields of this product to ensure they're accurate to the item being produced. You'll select Submit for approval at the top of your screen and go ahead and click Submit. And after the first step of the approval process, an internal approval, the supplier will then receive a notification. The notification also includes a link to the item so that they can quickly access the specification requiring review. Suppliers can log into SpecRite to make their updates, comments, and approvals. Permissions and visibility of different SpecRite applications is controlled by you and configured to provide information only pertinent to the logged in user, such as the supplier sustainability monitoring dashboard, reflecting the data applicable to the company that the user logged into the system. Navigating to the specification requested for review, the supplier can update the information, such as the recycled content, and this detail will be available in real time within your internal SpecRite system. Comments between the supplier and your internal team can take place directly on the specification rather than an email, thus allowing collaboration and transparency throughout your team. As suppliers and internal team members update the spec, you can view the specification history and track when changes were made by whom, as well as the old and new values. This visibility within SpecRite allows you to identify data points of important sustainable attribute updates, such as when FSC certifications occurred or when recyclable content met a specified threshold. SpecRite's Like Item Finder is a unique tool which provides quick visibility into your specifications and helps to support ensuring sustainable decisions are made during the initial design phase. The Like Item Finder tool allows you to dynamically search for specifications by choosing fields to filter by and providing tolerances for numerical fields. You can quickly determine if you have a specification that meets your current sustainability targets, such as required certifications, as well as find similar specs that could potentially be consolidated to optimize your supply chain. As you identify ways to optimize your product lines, SpecRite's built-in IQ Analytics tool helps you to automatically review the specifications in your system and make recommendations that support material and cost savings while contributing to reaching environmental initiatives. Clicking on the recommendation type, we can learn more about this suggestion. Here we can see that we have several specifications in the system, which we can add more units to the box. We can click on the number of the specifications to see the specs that are related to having more units in the box and have a material reduction and cost savings. This tool analyzes the overall corrugate size and product size associated to the corrugate spec to suggest if there may be too much extra space and provides an analysis of material reduction improvements for 3 options of pack-out improvement. These recommendations allow organizations to review current products and kick off product development initiatives, which can be done in SpecRite's new product development application. Along our navigation, let's go ahead and jump into a current sustainability initiative project. As SpecRite is template driven, you'll see a similar layout of our project to that of the previous specifications, which allows users to easily locate the information they're looking for within the project. This project is focused on updating materials of this finished good packaging, and the packaging component information can be quickly seen by hovering over the specification link. If we also wanted to create a project to test removing a packaging component from this finished good, we could easily duplicate the project by clicking the dynamic clone button, which allows you to select which attributes to carry over to your new project. Here, I'll go ahead and just open a previously cloned project, which has removed the secondary folding carton element and increased the amount of bottles that can now be in the shipper. A quick analysis with SpecRite's Compare tool allows us to see the differences between this project and our previous project. By removing the secondary folding carton packaging, we were able to increase the amount of products in each box. Now that we have highlighted the differences to show the impact of increasing the case pack while maintaining the same shipper size, we want to quickly see if this change will have a positive environmental impact. By clicking on the Life Cycle Assessment tool, we can see the impact from start to finish by identifying, quantifying, and assessing all activities related to making, using, and disposing of a product. Clicking on Run LCA, we see that our bill of materials has been automatically populated. We know this option is cost effective. However, we also want to understand the environmental implications of this update. So we'll go ahead and add our original packaging MPD project. We'll also determine a project name here, and then we'll click Export. With single sign-on, SpecRite has a seamless transition to importing your specifications into the LCA tool. At the top of the page, we see our project details section, which can be populated with further detail about the project. Below this, we see the bill of materials details for the 2 projects that we built in SpecRite. By clicking on a packaging element, we can easily see the different attributes, materials, reuse, and transportation of that item. In this case, we'll go ahead and update the transportation of the folding carton element to fully understand the impacts of removing this item from the overall finished good. This component is sourced internationally, so I will add in air transportation. We can then select our LCA indicators and attributes that we would like to include in the study and begin our analysis by clicking the Compare button and selecting the packaging systems to be compared. An overview and visual representation of the comparison is depicted at the top of the screen with further detailed information below. Within the LCA tool, you may want to explore other packaging variations prior to creating them in your SpecRite system. By selecting a component and then clicking on the leaf icon, we can explore sustainability strategies. Here, we'll update the post-consumer recycled material content of our bottle component to see the impacts that this would have on the overall packaging system. We can then save this new component and compare the original packaging system to determine if this is a bottle specification variation we would like to pursue further. You can also view a more detailed report of the LCA output by clicking on the View Report button. The report provides further information on the metrics being computed, as well as a summary of the packaging elements contained in the analysis. From our analysis, we have determined that the specification variation on our bottle component would help to reach our sustainability goals. As we return to our NPD project, we can easily create a new version of the bottle specification by clicking the version specification and selecting our bottle and creating next. Within this new specification, we can then update the material and cost. Often, more sustainable materials will have a higher product cost, but this can be offset by taking a closer look downstream at the environmental impact and other factors. Taking a final look at our sustainability dashboard, we can utilize the specification and project data entered into the system to create meaningful analytics to support quantifying your sustainability goals. That concludes our demonstration. I'll hand it back to Ayman to provide a bit more information before we close our discussion today.
Thank you, Linda, for delivering this comprehensive demo of our platform. To get you started on sustainability journey, we have created the SDM for Sustainability module. This sits upon our patented specification management platform. This module provides you with capabilities shown in Linda's demo to optimize your packaging and suppliers teams within SpecRite, along with a connection to an LCA tool as well. You also have the flexibility with this module to expand sustainability to R&D, product teams, the quality, and additional modules and integrations to other business systems like ERP or labeling, or even homegrown systems through our comprehensive API layer as well. If you go to the next slide, we do realize that sustainability is not a one-man show. It's not owned by one company. It is a community effort, and we all contribute to that sustainability goals across the globe. Beyond our own solution suite, we're building an ecosystem to transform your packaging business. We have partnerships with companies. We're integrating our technology with pallet optimization, packaging testing, LCA and EPR reporting tools. Currently, we have a partnership with TRIAC for LCA, and we recently formalized a partnership, for example, with Lorex to address EPR reporting. We're also partnering with the top packaging programs at universities to train the next generation workforce on specification management and SpecRite, along with industry professionals to lead the way in providing solutions that address the top market trends affecting supply chains and packaging. So to summarize, the key messages of the webinar, the first step in building the foundation of your sustainability journey is digitizing your specifications. To truly succeed in your sustainability journey and to achieve the business results Mike described in some of his examples, you must take back control of your data. We have many current customers like Caterpillar, Denso, and BASF who started their journey with SpecRite to address packaging challenges, and they're seeing both sustainability and business results, such as reducing usage of corrugated and paper products, reducing costs, building supply chain stability, along with the agility to adapt to the ever-changing emission regulations. To learn how SpecRite can transform your packaging business and get you on the path to compliance, if you are a current customer, please reach out to your sales rep. We'd be more than happy to put you in contact with them. If you're not a current customer, please fill out our contact form in our website. It's easy to find, just specrite.com/contact. And if you're going to Pack Expo International in Chicago this year, please stop by your booth. We'll be there. We'll be able to answer all your questions and engage as much as you want. So for now, we're open for questions. Steve, any questions in the queue so far?
Thanks, Simon. So if you have any questions, please enter them into the question queue now. We do actually have a few questions already. The first question, I believe, goes to you, Ayman. What if I don't own all of my specifications? Many come from my vendor. How can SpecRite help me to get started?
Great question. Great question. Thanks, Steve. So it's interesting. We have multiple ways of doing that. Right? One way is you actually invite your suppliers to the platform and they actually enter that information, as Linda as well did in the demo, from the very view, and they can put their specs as well there. The other part is, and we can also get in touch on that, we offer what we call the Spec Squad, where we actually work with you, and we have a very professional team that does all of this manual part and entry, and we take that on from your behalf. And through our Spec Squad, work with your suppliers and get this whole information into the platform. Additionally, we have some as well platform features like IDP, Intelligent Document Processing, where we actually get those documents as well as they are, whether PDFs or something, or Excel sheets from your vendors and suppliers. And our platform just through those functions in the platform and capabilities, upload those automatically and convert them from the unstructured data to structured data, where you can start actually communicating with them and have one source of truth as well. So we have all those 3-4 different models. Specifically, we've seen lots of our customers utilizing now our Spec Squad, where literally work across the companies and with your suppliers to grab this information all into one place.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. The second question actually goes to you, Ayman, also. How does SpecRite address all the changing sustainability regulations and laws between countries and states?
Another great question. It's definitely a challenge across the board, especially as we mentioned, it keeps changing, right? Like in Europe, they started earlier. Now in the US, it's coming in, and some different states as well in the US. So we definitely utilize all our partners, whether Lorex and TRIAC and others, for those kind of regulations. So we keep our system updated, and as well we partner with those professionals to make sure that any of the new regulations are already in the system, taken care of ASAP. And in addition, obviously, some companies have their own as well rules inside them, which is even more strict through sustainability. So we're able to configure those even per company rules in the platform as part of your implementation phases as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ayman. And this next question goes to you, Mike. I'm an existing customer and I'm not seeing the type of savings that Mike described. What's happening?
That's a really good question. I think, what we want to do is really understand what your specific situation is so that we can see how you're using SpecRite today, where there's room to potentially utilize more SpecRite functionality or even better optimize the functionality that you have today. We can do a retrospective or business case to take a look at where you were prior to implementing SpecRite and get a better understanding of how you operated before implementing, and then where you are today, so that we can understand what the delta has been already and chart a new course to show how you can get to that ideal future state where you are realizing those types of benefits that we discussed earlier. That's where my digital transformation team comes in, and we will go through, really act as consultants, where we do understand that prior state, better understand current state, and then, like I said, chart that course to the ideal future state, so that you can see those business outcomes that many other SpecRite customers are seeing.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. That's the last question we have in the queue. I just want to thank our presenters for delivering this webinar, and also want to thank all of you who attended today for your time. This recording will be posted on our website soon. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.